Hello and welcome back to the UTF podcast. Different environment this time.
Yeah, brand new studio, as we did mention last week, was going to be the case.
We teased it a little bit. We were, flirting with the idea of changing it up, and we're in this room now. So we've got this jazzy screen. We've got a nice light here. New table, a bit better than the boring sort of grey background.
It gives you some better visuals to enjoy the show while we talk some nonsense for 40 minutes.
With this isn't what we intended on having. We were going to have either the UTF logo or some kind of relevant images. But, technical issues. We still haven't figured out how the studio works exactly. So you've got an assortment of delightful images on the screen to deal with. The Hollywood sign we've got here. There's some trees. The sea. The earth. Yeah. There's a New York skyline. There's some cool stuff on it. But we'll get there eventually. Elliott Cuff, by the way. Gavin Barrett, forgot that one.
Yeah. Probably should have announced on him earlier.
It's what it is.
You'll know it's by now.
Hopefully Marcus can have a
lower third.
Chuck that up. Anyway, there is a show to get on with. We do have sports to talk about. There's a couple of football stories. We're going to touch on the rugby again because it's a big game this weekend. Obviously, we couldn't not.
For obvious reasons, the big rivalry here.
He asked me this morning to wear an England shirt. Can you believe that?
He hasn't got one.
Can you believe it?
Much of a fan he is.
Child. And then a little golf story I want to touch on at the end, if we have time. But anyway, straight onto it.
Before we start, though, we want to say a massive thank you to Pepsi for sponsoring
of course! How could I'm so sorry, Pepsi. I almost forgot. Here we are, Pepsi sponsoring it again. They were really pleased with the numbers last week, but they were hoping they'd be a little bit higher. So if you're watching, if you could like the video, if you could share it to anyone chuck it on social media, it would be massively appreciated. They love the views, and then the more views we get, the happier they'll be, the better the content will be. So
and please press that subscribe button because it does mean a lot to us.
Yeah, on a serious note, it does mean a lot.
Let's get on with the show.
Yeah. So we're talking about football first. We're recording this Tuesday. The last sort of big event in the football world was the Man United Chelsea game in the FA Cup 5th round. Man United won 2-0, back in the draw. I'm sure after the last game you played in the Champions League, you're very happy with that result.
It's perfect response really after Tuesday night, especially when you consider the injuries we had. I was quite nervous heading into the game, but it was a brilliant result, especially when you consider we haven't beaten Chelsea at Stamford Bridge since 2012. So
I didn't know that. That's really bad.
So that was under Fergie. So it was a great result for us. Like I said, I couldn't ask for a better response from the players. I was expecting a little bit of youth to play. I thought Talib Chong will have a game or Inter Gomez, but to be fair to Solskjaer, he got the tactics spot on, which shows again he's not just getting the smiles on players' faces type of manager. He has actually got a bit of tactical nous. That's 3 away victories now against the 3 of the top 6 teams in the league. Obviously, I know Chelsea was in the cup, and Chelsea and Arsenal were both in the cup, but it's still an away victory, which you don't always get. Well. Exactly. So it shows that he has got something about him, and I think Paul Merson said on Sky Sports, if we beat Liverpool on Sunday, he has the job full time, and it's hard to argue with that, but I'd still wait till the end of the season.
I think also as well, I think these people are idiots, but there were an awful lot of people that after the game against PSG were saying, he's been found out, he's bottled it, he's clearly not up for the job, he's all right beating the little teams, but he can't deal with it. And I think it's stupid for one, because PSG is such an elite team. They are a team of champions, they are so good. And there's no one in this country, Man City won't beat PSG every single game. Like, if Man City lose to PSG, you wouldn't go up at Guardiola's a fraud, get rid of him. So it was a bizarre claim, but I'm glad for him that he's able to go straight back to it. No, I'm fine. I'm winning domestically, I don't care. It's one loss. It's a shame, but we're still in the cup. You don't have the easiest of draws, but it's not the worst of draws, so there's no reason to believe you won't have a good chance of winning the cup.
Yeah, well, the main thing was avoiding Man City, obviously. Because if we do beat them, everyone can say at least we deserve it. But
yeah, very true.
But Wolves away is still gonna be tough. It was probably the toughest draw outside of Man City, to be honest. So it'd be interesting to see how that result goes. But I'm looking forward to it. Like
between that and Watford, I thought they were the 2 you want to avoid really,
especially away.
At home. For them at home, you're away. Molyneux's not an easy place to go to this season. Wolves are playing very well. As Everton, no. They're playing well.
Still not getting over the season yet. It's taken a while.
Oh, do you know, it's just this whole... If Everton... So the butterfly effect aside, if Everton had beaten Millwall in the Cup, we would have had Lincoln, Millwall, Wimbledon and Brighton to get to a semi-final. That makes me feel sick.
When I showed him that yesterday, he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy.
Anyway, we're not talking about Everton
No,
today.
we're back on to...
It's a week without... There was no Everton playing football this week. It was a week without Everton. It's fantastic. Let's forget we exist for a week.
Yeah, no, as I said, against PSG, it was perfect response from the players. I thought...
One thing you were happy about is Juan Mata, because you were saying before the game you weren't overly sure whether he really offers anything, and he found his place in the team.
He's been a passenger this season in general, especially because he's been playing out on the right. But it showed yesterday he played in the 10 role, which I think is his best position, and I think many other people do as well. He does have a role to play this season, and he could be a good squad player going forward if he continues to play in that role, because he had a good game. But if he keeps playing on the right, it's pointless, because he has no pace, he's so slow, and he doesn't get in the game enough, he's a passenger. But Solskjaer done well yesterday. I thought, like I said, he tactically nailed it with the formation, the team, and the Herrera was brilliant again. Outstanding. Like, he'd be my captain at the moment in the team.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of Man United fans would agree with that. If you do, please let me know. Please back me up. But he's been outstanding. He's outstanding again yesterday.
You would give it Ashley Young.
We'll move on from that. I'm not gonna. After a good win, I'm not gonna.
It was a good result though. You can't say. And I think Chelsea is struggling at the moment, but they're no pushovers. Well, they're still on paper. They're still a strong team.
What was even more pleasing is our defence, because they were outstanding yesterday, and obviously we have a lot of questions asked about our defence throughout the season, but all of them were outstanding yesterday. Luke Shaw had a brilliant game. Smalling was excellent.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you can't take away from Chelsea is they created chances, and it's up to Man United obviously to try and stifle those as much as they can, and try and shield them out. And Gonzalo Higuain and Hazard and Pedro were very persistent. So you only give them credit for making sure they kept a clean sheet.
Can't give anything but credit to United yesterday, I think, because as I said, Lindelof, Smalling, Shaw, Romero. I think Sergio Romero was the best backup keeper in the league, and he'd probably start for over half the Premier League teams. I think is the number one. I think he's just outstanding, and yeah, I think Chelsea were poor and they had a lot of possession, but I never felt worried we were going to lose after we scored the first goal yesterday.
Must be nice.
But yeah, I don't think. But if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be worried. I'd be very worried.
It's a new one. Sorry, I'm trying not to get distracted by the ongoing TV change.
I think if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be very worried with Maurizio Sarri. Doesn't seem to be.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically. I don't know what the odds are at the time of filming, but he's basically odds on to be the next manager sacked. And you can't blame that decision if it's made, because Chelsea have a habit over the last couple of years of not taking any slack, and if things start to fall behind, Roman Abramovich is more than happy to pull the trigger, and it's definitely not working. The
main issue for me is he doesn't change.
We touched on it last week, and it hasn't changed.
For me, the main issue is he doesn't change anything.
As far as I'm aware, there was one change in the team, which I think was Barkley for Kovacic. Kovacic started against you. I'm fairly sure that was not the only change. And same old Chelsea. They're just not working at all.
When you've got Hudson-Odoi on the bench and you don't even bring him on, there's something wrong there.
Also, you've just got players. I mean, I really like Marcos Alonso, but he's playing poorly this season. So you have to play towards form, not towards name. Emerson Palmieri could have started. He's looked okay, and it's a couple of cameos off the bench. So why not give him a go? But if Sarri's so stubborn that he has to keep playing Alonso and keep persisting, and it keeps not working, then it's only your own fault. He's the architect of his own sort of wrongdoing.
Like the other problem is Kepa is again at
fault
for
the second goal.
Exactly. 75 million for that keeper. You can't.
£75 million for a keeper. You expect if you can get across quickly and you get a big hand, you don't let it go in.
For example,
if it was a fingertips, if he just clipped it, that's fine. But he got a big hand and pushed it into his own goal. You can't. You have to save that.
If I want to compare it, I'm not sure if any of you have seen the Newport Man City game, but there was an outstanding save from Ederson in the first half to deny Newport a 0-0, and that's something you'd expect a top class keeper to make, like Kepa, but it proved last night he just can't handle it.
It's a save that you'd expect a Premier League goalkeeper to save, let alone one that's cost 75 million. And yes, he's young, he's still developing, but for that price, Liverpool paid a similar price for Alisson. They got what they paid for. Chelsea haven't yet done that.
Yeah, I think Chelsea fans out there, if you're watching this, let us know what you think. Would you sack Sarri? Would you keep him? You Sarri ball in, Sarri ball out. Just let us know what you think, because it's not looking good at the moment. He seems to be on borrowed time.
One thing, definitely won't be in the running for, is the manager of the season award, because we've had a little bit of a discussion about where we think that award lies and who is the most deserving. So You're trying to convince me it's not worked. By the way, not worked. You're trying to convince me that Neil Warnock's in with a shout. Do you want to try and explain that way of thinking?
Well, Neil Warnock, obviously, the squad he had coming up, they shouldn't even got promoted realistically. He's shown he's a great manager in the Championship. Obviously, I think he's got like 8 promotions or something like that. And they've done excellent with the Championship squad and not a lot of budget, really. If you look at the players they bought, Camarasa on loan, Arthur on loan. They never, Elliott was a free, Bam was a free. I know they played last season, but this, for example, over the last couple of years, they haven't really spent money on a lot of players since they came down from the Premiership the first time. Obviously, then in January, they go and break their record fee to sign Emiliano Sala. And tragically, obviously, he died. So it's a shame, really, but it's difficult. I think under the circumstances, the squad they have, and realistically, even Chris Sutton said at the start of the season, he thinks they were going to break the lowest points tally in the Premier League season. But look at them now, they're still outside the Premier League relegation zone, and they're still fighting. They still had a good couple of results recently. Obviously, look where they go next. Probably going to be 3 points for them as well.
Yeah. I'd like to argue against that, but I don't feel too confident myself. So
the only shame is Umanias isn't obviously can't play against Everton because he's been outstanding since he joined Cardiff despite not scoring a goal. But yeah, I think Neil Warnock 100% deserves the manager of the year if he keeps them up. Not just because the achievement of keeping them up in the first place, but also the circumstances that have come with it throughout the season. The Salah situation, when you're obviously trying to buy a couple of strikers to help the push, and when one of them tragically dies and you did not really have time to replace him well enough, it's difficult. And I think under everything, I think Neil Warnock will be thoroughly deserving of manager of the year award if they keep Cardiff. If they go down, fair enough. But if Cardiff stay up, I think Neil Warnock is 100% deserving of manager of the year award.
And I think that's ludicrous because I think there are 3 potential names. I think you look at, if Liverpool win the league, it is Jurgen Klopp's award. No. Undoubtedly, Liverpool have never won the Premier League.
That's fair.
If they win the Premier League,
I can
it is his. If Man City win the Premier League, Pep Guardiola would have taken Man City back-to-back titles in dominant fashion. And I think you have to look at how he's done it. Not what has he done. He's won the league. Man City have done it 3 times now, 4 times. And yes, they've got an expensive squad, and people will always say, well, if you spend all this money on these players, then you're always going to win the league. That's irrelevant. It's how you coach your players. He is a perfect man manager in terms of how to deal with his players, how to coax the best ability out of them. And the reason Man City is so feared, more so than Man United were back in the day, more so than any other side that I can remember in recent memory who were on top, is because they are so destructive. They are amazing to watch. And they just tear teams apart. And that, yes, it comes down to the players. The players have to do it on the pitch. But the manager is the one who brings that all together. And I think that if they win the league again and they beat Liverpool, and it's the most competition they've had in a long time. Man United come second last year, but they weren't anywhere near as close as Liverpool are. I think it's almost a guarantee. The only person I think who could take it away from them is Nuno Espirito Santo, because I think he has done wonders with his Wolves team. And again, people will look at it and go, well, you've got the super agent Jorge Mendes on board, who can sort of pull these strings with these Portuguese talent. That's the reason they've got Ruben Neves, João Moutinho, Rui Patricio. And you also look at the fact they've got a lot of money. They spent an awful lot of money. They spent 18 million in January on a right back, on Johnny Otto. But on a left back, sorry. But I think he's done so well with so little in terms of how many first team players have played in his Premier League lineup. I think he has the least amount of outfield players.
I think it's 16 outfield players. 16 senior outfield players.
Bearing in mind, you have 10 per game, 16. So again, yeah, you can say got lucky, no major injuries, no major suspensions. He's been able to rotate quite easily. That's still an awfully difficult feat. And I think he's done it so well. And, to get them where they are in the league now, 7th place, and potentially pushing on. And the club looks like it's growing. And you can only imagine that in the summer they're going to sign more talent. They're going to try and increase. I mean, I don't know how they're going to be able to deal with Ruben Neves, because I don't know how they're ever going to keep him. He's far too good. But you'd think that the club only looks like it's going up. And that's all under the stewardship of Nuno. So I think he deserves an awful lot of credit for where he's got that club.
For me, just to touch on Ruben Neves, I think he's the best player outside the top 6.
Uh-huh.
I would sign him as a man. Obviously, a Man United fan, I would sign him hands down in the summer. I think he'd be a great player for us. And what makes it more interesting is he's 21 years of age. and he's doing all this.
Ridiculous.
You'd think, if you looked at him play, you'd think he's 25, 26, going to his prime, but he's still only 21. I think he's a ridiculous player, and I would 100% sign him. To go with, obviously, your manager situation, I think Guardiola is expected to win the league, so I know you're saying dominant factor the way he's done it, which, fair enough, yeah, but I don't think you deserve it over other managers such as Neil Warnock or Nuno Espirito Santos.
That argument, though, Alex Ferguson has won it in the past for winning the league, but you would say then that Man United are expected to win it every year.
It depends
when he wins it.
It depends which year. If we had against Arsenal, when we had to start the competition every year, was it United, Arsenal going to win it? Then
would you not say that now when City compete with Liverpool?
Because Arsenal were financially as similar as us, and the players similar to us, whereas City have been dominant in the transfer market, not just through players in their own squad. Whereas Liverpool under Klopp, I can understand Klopp getting it, as you said. Liverpool haven't won the league. Well, I've never won the Premier League. So I think Klopp would deserve to win it if they did win the league, especially when you're competing against a City side that's that good and that dominant over the last year and a half, really. So I can understand that. And same with Nuno Espirito Santos, a newly promoted side. Everyone thought they would do okay. Obviously they have the players. They have obviously you said Jorge Mendes to bring in the players. They have Juan Martino, Rui Patricio, both won Euro 2016. They have international players like Raul Jimenez. They have obviously Ruben Neves. They have a quality outfit team. Then Donker, Johnny Otto. These are international class players. So you can't really argue. Everyone thought they would do well, but they've been brilliant, I think. They definitely deserve to be 7th in the league. They've definitely been the 7th best team in the league this year. And I think you can make a case for him as manager of the season. I really can. But the one I couldn't give it to is maybe it's because I'm obviously Man United as well. But then again, you don't like Neil Warnock, so maybe that's why you won't give it to him either.
I don't like
you don't like Neil Warnock, so that's a good point.
I don't like Neil Warnock. I don't think he deserves it. I just don't think.
I think if Cardiff stayed up, it's a brilliant achievement.
Did Nigel Pearson win it when he kept Leicester up?
Different situation. Leicester had a good enough team.
No, it wasn't. Leicester were gone and buried. They were gone. They were dead. And somehow he
but they had a good enough squad that underachieved.
The point is though that was still more impressive than. Excuse me, Pepsi. It's more impressive than what Cardiff has done this season.
It's because they underachieved.
I think when you're looking at Guardiola, you're looking at it as he's expected to win, and Man United had someone to fight with. For a long time this season, Liverpool have been top. Liverpool were unbeaten. They were basically, it was theirs to win. And Man City were at a disadvantage. They knew they had the firepower, but they still had to keep up and get the results. They lost a couple of games. It looked like it was gone at one point, and I was devastated. I thought Liverpool had won the whole thing. And now it's right back on. You have to give Man City credit for digging deep and going, no, this is ours. We're not throwing this away. This is our title.
They deserve a lot of credit this season for all the way they play. Everything. I think Raheem Sterling has been outstanding. Obviously, it's hard coming from one from, but Sterling has been outstanding. But I just couldn't give man of the season to Pep Guardiola. I just don't see the logic. Whereas I can understand Klopp in the league. I can understand Nuno Espirito Santos. I think Neil Warnock seriously if they stay up.
I think if Liverpool win, Klopp's got it slam dunk. That's the only one I can see 100%. If Man City win, it opens it up. And I would like it to either be Guardiola or Nuno.
Spurs are still in the shout win the league, mate. If they did that, Pochettino.
If they did, yeah, that's true. Because it would be very quietly sort of sneaking in behind, wouldn't it?
The other thing with Nuno Espirito Santos, well, obviously, is Wolves are still in the FA Cup as well. Say they do beat us, in a few weeks' time, then you never know what could happen.
Which they could do.
They could do it, especially at home. They're a good side.
Yeah, it does open up.
Say when the FA Cup finish 7th, it probably is then, isn't it?
Let us know down below.
Yeah,
and on Twitter who you think deserves the award. Marcus Silva, anyone?
For some reason, I don't think anyone's going to vote for Mark Silva.
Sam Allardyce?
Better than Mark Silva. We will put a poll up on Twitter when this video is released, so make sure you definitely follow us on Twitter at UTF_sports. Sorry.
We need to get this handle sorted. We're going to change the handle at some point.
We'll get Mark to put it up here. So just
it'll be on the screen.
I know, we'll put a poll up. Make sure you decide who you think deserves it, and if there's other, comment below what you think should be manager of the season.
There's one more story I want to touch on really quickly. And it is related to Everton because I have to talk about Everton every week. I'm a bit self-obsessed.
So it's gone from not talking about Everton this week because they've had a week off to let's talk about Everton this week.
Yeah, it is what it is. So Idrissa Gueye.
Can't help yourself, can you?
No, I can. I love them. I hate them, but I love them. Idrissa Gueye was linked with PSG in the January transfer window. We had 2 bids rejected for. We rejected 2 bids for him. And he's spoken up this week. Obviously, Everton had time away, no cup games, so they had a week off. Ghana was quoted by L'Equipe, or L'Equipe, I don't know how you pronounce it, the main sports publication in France. And he was quoted as saying, I really hope that between now and the end of the season I can perform really, really well, and hopefully PSG can come back in, because I'm basically devastated that my dream move collapsed because Everton would let him go. Everton wouldn't let him go for obvious reasons. It was already late in the window. We didn't have the resources to find an adequate replacement, and really we just, we're in a bit of a tight spot at the moment anyway. On the pitch, we don't want to have to bring a lot of change. What is your opinion on players going away and speaking about what they want to achieve on international break?
Well, I think most players should keep their mouth shut, realistically. But as long as they keep performing for their club, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah. It's interesting because I half think that it would be nice to say, look, just stop talking. Stop talking. Stop spreading rumours. Stop trying to feed this narrative that you're going to leave. Because Romelu Lukaku did it when he was with us. He always spoke when he was with Belgium. Always said about how Everton were basically a stepping stone. He wanted to go to a bigger club. He wanted to move on. With Ghana, though, I half think I like hearing that he is motivated to want to perform on the pitch, to want to get better moves. Not so much because I want him to leave, but all I want is Everton to win. I want the performances on the pitch.
Yeah.
And when he's playing so poorly, you'd expect that if he's going to keep putting these performances on the pitch, in theory, Everton are going to benefit from that.
Exactly. So as I said, you can only, as long as they play off for the team, it doesn't really matter. But you don't want them going out and saying stuff like that, because obviously then it puts a lot of pressure on him in his performances. The fans are going to be on his back. If he does something wrong, if he has a bad game, the fans are going to be all over him, thinking, why is he not trying for the club anymore? I think you put a lot of pressure on yourself when you start not criticising the club, but expressing a desire to leave.
You do that. I hadn't actually considered that as a good point. Yeah, it does make people jump on your back quicker. That as soon as you put in a poor display, which every player is open to, everyone's human. They're going to start complaining and saying, well, he's clearly packed it in, he's clearly given up, he already knows what he wants to do, he wants to move on.
So for me, basically that's it really, because like you said, if he keeps performing for Everton and he wants to leave in the summer, then fair enough, but he has to keep performing for Everton, because PSG are not going to want to sign him if he's playing poorly for the rest of the season anyway. So he's going to have to play well to at least get that move. So it helps you and your team anyway.
Either way, I just hope between now and the end of the season, maybe we can get some more points, he can help contribute to that. That's what I'm hoping for.
On to rugby now then, I think.
Yeah.
The big one this week.
Yeah, enjoy it now, because you won't enjoy it next week.
I am a little bit worried, as I said last week. I'm worried, obviously, we've not played very well the last couple of weeks, whereas England have looked decent, to be fair to you. Probably better than decent, to be fair. So I was thinking, the main story I want to speak about is Leigh Halfpenny. Obviously, he was released from the Wales to go and play for the Scarlets over the weekend, so he gets some game time and then be in contention for the England game. But for some reason, then obviously he must have had a reoccurrence of a concussion or something, because he didn't end up playing for the Scarlets. So everyone thought, that's him ruled out of the England game. He hasn't played since Australia in November. November. So that's the last time he played. So everyone thought, he's out of the England game. But then one of the Welsh coaches comes out and says, he's still in contention. And I just think, where the hell is the player welfare in this? Honestly, I was wondering what you think. Yeah. Surely, if someone's had a head injury and they're not played since November, you don't go throwing them in against probably the most physical test you're going to have in the Six Nations this year.
Well, I mean, you'd think it would come down to a doctor's perspective, wouldn't you? You'd think that the Welsh medical staff are going to be consulted from the minute he can get back on the training field to the minute the game starts. And if they deem him okay, then there can't be anything wrong with it. But I suppose it depends on how lax their rules are. If Warren Gatland is the coach, isn't
yeah.
That was a bit of a brain melt moment. If Warren Gatland, for instance, was very, very keen, would the coaching staff maybe just push it through? I don't know, but you would imagine that if he's not fit, if he does have clear signs of a recurring concussion or sort of the side effects that come with a concussion that he would have suffered recently, you would imagine the medical staff would have to cut that out, because, like you said, as much as you want every advantage you can get, I don't know whether you would consider Leigh Halfpenny an advantage, but you can't risk it, the welfare of the players. The players have to come first. The health of the players have to come first. And if it's an issue, if it's something that could, because also if he's got recurrences of this trauma that he's had, that doesn't mean that Wales suffer in it anyway, because he's not going to run his best game. you've lost a player that's performing well to accommodate a big name who isn't fully fit, isn't fully there. So it's not good for the player, it's not good for the team. It doesn't really seem like a sensible situation in any shape, way, or form.
Especially because it's a World Cup year this year. We want our best players available for that. And by risking Leigh Halfpenny this weekend, you're risking his potential future, not just for the World Cup, but in rugby union itself. If he comes off with another big knock, in obviously a very physical clash, as it always is, Wales-England, it could affect his career and his position in the World Cup. And then, as you say again, even if he did come back, would he get in the side? I think, for me, some Wales fans want him back in the side, obviously want him for his high ball, because England against France used a lot of kicking and basically ripped France apart with that. But Wales are good under the high ball anyway. It's not just Leigh Halfpenny, who is brilliant under it, don't get me wrong. But if he hasn't played since November, how rusty is he going to be? How on top of his game is he going to need to be?
He might be match fit, but is he going to be match sharp?
Exactly. And the other issue is our back three at the moment, they're playing quite well. George North scoring tries. His defence is still obviously a bit dodgy, as proven against France. And then I think if you look at Liam Williams, world class 15. Even if Halfpenny was playing, he'd be my winger, not my fullbacks. I think Liam Williams is outstanding, and he's my favourite player. I think fullback is made for him. And then on the other wing, Josh Adams, who's having a really good time for Wales at the moment as well, defensively as well as going forward. So I think if it was me, I wouldn't even bring him into the side anyway. And again, he's not worth the risk.
Yeah, it does seem like a strange situation. It would be strange if he does line up. If he does, like you said, if he does still have this problem, it would be very, very strange to imagine him in that lineup. Especially when Wales have gone 2 for 2. I know they haven't been in the most inspiring fashion. The French game, for instance, wasn't very good. It was pretty poor to start with, and you brought it back. But at the end of the day, you're still winning. The team's still performing enough. Maybe not enough to beat England, but as you said, you need to look into the future as well as short term. Let's say you don't beat us tomorrow, we win the Six Nations. You could still be in a stronger position for the World Cup. So I think Wales have to sort of weigh up what's the most important to them now. Obviously, player welfare has to come first before anything else. But you'd imagine long-term longevity would be also paramount to here's a quick fix for the next game coming up.
That's Halfpenny is one player I wouldn't put in the squad, but the one player that I would, he played against Italy and he plays against an England pack week in, week out for the Wasps, is Thomas Young. I think he is an outstanding rugby player. He had a great Six Nations debut against Italy, and he's used to playing these England back row forwards, the England pack, the England backs. He's used to playing against these week in, week out, and I think it would benefit us massively if he was playing against England. I don't think he will, because Gatland doesn't seem to fancy him as much as some of the other players. So it'll probably be Tipperick, Navidi and Moriarty. But for me, Thomas Young, I would 100% put in the team, or at least on the bench, and he'd give us so much effect in the game. He's great at turning over the ball. He's pacey, scores tries, great defensively. I think for me, he's one player that I would 100% have in the 23 at least, but I just don't see it happening, sadly.
I think whoever you pick, we're still going to win. We're going to win.
You sure you don't want to put a bet in it?
I'm positive. I'll regret it if I do. I know.
I am worried, but I think we are at home.
Yeah,
we haven't lost in 12.
Pepsi sponsorship money hasn't come in yet, so...
Yeah, we're still waiting for that.
Yeah.
Come on, Pepsi, sort it out.
Come on, I tweeted you. Sort it out.
Guess we've got one more story to go.
One more story. It's a quick one. It's one I wanted to talk about. It really irritated me, basically. So I wanted to moan a little bit. Matt Kuchar. What I should have done is I should have memorised the names of the competitions. I think it was the Marioko Classic Open. I think I should have looked that up. Didn't. We don't always get our research right on this show.
He doesn't always get his research right.
Well, we used to have a big pad of paper with us, and I don't know what happened to that. We'll blame the producer because that should be his job.
So again,
I'm joking, Marcus. Don't hate me.
But if you are interested, our email will be in the description below. Let us know, and we'll consider.
To be honest, he's doing a poor job at the moment. He's already interrupted us during this taping. We have to start again.
Disgrace, really.
It's a bit sloppy at the moment. And if like I said, if you are looking for someone, 2 burgeoning young talents, just my DMs are open on Twitter. Drop me a line. Anyway, the
he's really going to hate us for that.
Let's just get to the crux of the story and wrap the show up. Matt Kuchar, seasoned pro, done a lot in his career, successful guy. Hasn't won on the PGA Tour quite a while, as far as I know.
I think it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
5 years maybe, actually. 2014, I think, was the last time he won.
So recently, last week, whenever it was, they were playing in the Mario. I think it's the Marioko Classic. I'm not sure. I think that's what it's called. Don't at me. And he, for some reason or another, didn't have a caddy. So he approached a man. We should have done some of the research on this. I think his name was Ortiz. Don't know what his first name is. Someone Ortiz. A man who, obviously, if you don't know how important caddies are massive. Not only, they don't just carry your bags, they also offer advice, tips, they do measurements, calculations, they help you basically they take as much strain off of you as you can. So your job is there to go and hit the ball, and they try and do all the other stuff as well. He agreed with this man to pay him $4,000, regardless of win or loss. Doesn't matter. $4,000 is what I'm going to pay you. Matt Kuchar then won the tournament, which paid out over $1 million. $1.2 million, I think it was.
$1.2 million, yeah.
So obviously a massive payday. Out of the kindness of Matt Kuchar's heart, he paid Ortiz an extra grand, $5,000. And Mr. Ortiz was obviously not too happy about this. He thought that given that, Kuchar hadn't won something in so long, his influence probably has helped, probably helped him to get to that win. 1.2 million to only give him $5,000 is stingy to say the least. So I was a lot more angry with this story than you were.
Yeah, the reason I wasn't as angry is Ortiz obviously asked for £50,000 instead.
Yeah.
Which he didn't get at the time, but he now eventually has received the money.
Which is its own problem.
Yeah. But the reason I wasn't too angry about it is, even though it's stingy as hell, and we agreed on that, and it is bad for Matt Kuchar, him and his caddy had an agreement before the tournament started. So I feel he doesn't really have to change that agreement. Morally, is it wrong? Yes, but I think there's anything wrong with sticking to an agreement you originally had. Plus, he did pay him an extra £1,000, which is not a lot, obviously, of 1.2 mil. But he did stick to the agreement they had and give him a little bit extra. But he admitted he was wrong after.
The main problem is, I think, again, to touch on the fact that I haven't got the necessary research in front of me, someone spoke to him about the whole situation and said, Ortiz wants this, what do you think? And his response was very flippant and very like, oh yeah, but I think he's just making a meal out of it. I gave him his money, it'll be all right. And I think the point people were saying online is, 1.2 million to this guy is a lot of money, but he's also a seasoned pro. He's got money behind his belt. He's not a poor man. It's Mr. Ortiz. $5,000 is a lot of money still. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I wouldn't mind that in my bank account right now. But $50,000 is life changing. Life changing. That's more than an awful lot of people earn per year. And yes, was that one weekend worth of job, that 4 days he did, was that worth $50,000? Yeah. If he won the tournament, yeah, it is. To me, I think it can only be under. I'm getting all tripped up with these words today. It can't be understated enough how important the caddy is. For a time, the most well-paid New Zealand sports star was Tiger Woods' caddy. He was the most paid sports star from New Zealand. And for good reason, because he contributed to Tiger Woods' success. Everything Woods did, yes, Tiger Woods, fantastic talent, but you have to give credit to anyone who helps you along the way. And if he hasn't won in so long, and this guy comes in, I know they had an agreement, $4,000, I'm going to give you an extra grand for, cheers, thanks, well done. It just seems so distant and so out of touch with how money works and how people work, to think that you can get away with that, just going, I'll give you an extra grand, that's fine. I'll keep the other 995, or it's more than that, 1.2 million. But you get my point. To keep all that rest of the money in his bank when he could have absolutely changed this guy's life, helping him get back on track.
I think the normal caddies, so I think his own person and other golfers caddies, I think it's up to 10%.
Yeah, I was going to say, caddies can expect to earn up to 10%.
10% of the earnings from a tournament. But in the end, Matt Kuchar did come out with a statement, apologising, admitting he probably was out of touch a little bit, and he did offer to pay the $50,000. Well, he offered to pay a little bit extra, and the guy rejected it, and now he's offered to pay the full $50,000. And I'm not sure if the guys have accepted or rejected it at the moment, but he has offered it up to the caddy at least.
Which to me, that adds more problems to the mix, because that's basically saying you've cowed to public pressure. To then go, I was wrong, I didn't really understand what I was doing. No, what you did is you felt guilty because people hounded you online, and for good reason. So I think it's not fair that these celebrities then can, I know at the end of the day you'll look at it and go, well, Mr. Ortiz got the money he wanted, so everyone's happy. But I still think it's wrong when celebrities and famous sports people can just go, oh, fine, then here's the money, and throw the money at people, and the problem goes away. Because that's still not right. You're still disconnected. You're still disingenuous with that money. You've only done it because people have pressured you to do it. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it does. So I just wanted to have a little mini rant about that. But
as per usual, we'll end on a Cuff rant.
I don't know. Just you wait. If we're recording next Tuesday, Cardiff game's on a Monday, so
this podcast can go one way or the other. I think
Tuesday can be feisty.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm a bit nervous to actually be sat next to him if they lose. I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm hoping you all enjoyed this new podcast in a new studio.
Let us know what you think, because we're still playing around with ideas and we're trying to make the show more aesthetically pleasing, basically. I think we were getting a bit tired of that plain grey background, so we thought this would be a bit different. But yeah, let us know if you've got any thoughts about what you like, what you don't like, whether this is a nice studio, whether this is rubbish and everyone's better.
Hopefully you enjoyed the new pictures we have. Hopefully next week we'll have something actually relevant for you. Obviously all sports stories we'll have next week, and obviously the UTF logo itself. But yeah, make sure you follow us on our social medias, our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, which will all be in the description below. Please press the like button if you enjoy the video, and it does mean so much to us if you press the subscribe button. We really want to grow our channel as much as we possibly can while we can. So please press that subscribe button for us.
Shares are underrated as well. Shares. Yeah. Any literally, if you just drop a share, no comment, nothing, just drop it on Facebook, anything, so people can see it, more clicks, more people that might be interested.
It does mean an awful lot to us, and we are appreciate to everyone who does watch our videos and likes our videos and follows us on social media. We do appreciate it. Just
before you sign off, thanks Pepsi sponsoring again. Appreciate it, and also big thank you to Marcus. We do mock him a little bit. He's had an awful lot of work to do today, sorting out this studio. I mean, we're all a bit new to it, and on the editing, he's so quick getting it all shit and sharp and ready to go.
But that doesn't.
We don't give enough credit. We do want to thank him for that. But if there is someone interested,
it doesn't change the fact
we can still do with a replacement. Like, we know he's good, but we can get better. We want to keep improving. So, let me know.
Well, that's all for this week's podcast. As we said, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers. He's gonna love it, man.